Have you ever stopped, really listened to your body? Not just the aches or pains, but the whispers, the subtle messages it sends every single day? I remember a time when I was constantly tired. My back ached, my stomach churned. I was stressed, always stressed. I went to doctors, tried medicine therapies, but nothing worked for long. And then, one day, I decided to try something different. I decided to talk to my body. I sat quietly, closed my eyes, and I whispered, "I see you. I hear you. Thank you for all you do." And you know what happened? Slowly, the tension started to ease. The ache softened. I felt a warmth, like my body was saying, "Finally, someone is listening." Think about it. Our bodies are incredible. They are not just flesh and bone. They are alive with intelligence. They know how to heal, but often we ignore them. We push them too hard. We yell at them with bad habits, stress, and neglect. What if we treated our bodies like friends instead of machines? What if we asked them, "What do you need today?" Instead of pushing harder, we listened, really listened. I started asking simple questions every morning. Are you tired? Hungry? Stressed? What can I do to help you today? And then I acted on the answers. Sometimes it was water. Sometimes it was rest. Sometimes it was movement. And slowly, the healing began. Our bodies respond to love, to attention, to respect. Like a plant, it thrives when nourished, not when ignored. And yes, sometimes the healing is slow. Sometimes we have to repeat the words, the care, the love, but it works. Always. Have you ever whispered to a friend during a hard time and seen them transform? Imagine doing the same for the person who carries you through life every day, your body. So today I challenge you, talk to your body. Ask it what it needs. Listen to it without judgment. Care for it like it cares for you every single moment. And you will see miracles start to happen. Because healing is not just medicine. Healing is conversation. Healing is respect. Healing is love. And when you start talking to your body, it will listen. It will respond. And it will heal. Here are some key points related to this. Your body communicates constantly. Listening is the first step to healing. Treat your body with love and respect, not just as a machine. Small, intentional actions, rest, hydration, movement, amplify healing. Self-awareness and daily check-ins create a powerful mind-body connection. Healing often requires patience, consistency, and gentle attention. Conversation with your body is a form of self-love that leads to real, lasting transformation. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture yourself waking up one morning, feeling that subtle tightness in your shoulders, that slight heaviness in your chest, or maybe a flutter in your stomach that you usually ignore. Most of us rush past these signals. We grab our phones, scroll through notifications, get ready for work, and shove a cup of coffee down without even tasting it. But what if those little signs were actually messages? What if your body was speaking to you in a language you've always understood but forgot to hear? I remember the first time I truly noticed this. I was sitting in my living room, exhausted, my head pounding after weeks of late nights and stress. I had this sharp pain in my lower back that refused to go away. I grumbled, "Not again. Why won't this stop?" I felt frustrated, helpless even, and then something in me paused. I remembered something a friend once said, "Your body is always talking. You just have to listen." So I tried it. I closed my eyes, placed my hands gently on my lower back, and whispered, "Tell me what's going on. I want to understand." At first, it felt silly, almost absurd. But then I began to notice small details I had never paid attention to. The way the pain shifted when I moved, the tension that tightened when I was anxious, even the way my breath felt shallow and hurried. For the first time, I wasn't ignoring my body. I was noticing it, really noticing it. And then I started remembering other times I had ignored it. The constant headaches I blamed on work stress, the tightness in my chest I chalked up to caffeine, the fatigue I thought was just part of life. My body had been sending me messages all along, and I had been too busy to hear them. Each ache, each discomfort was not a nuisance. It was a language, a plea to be recognized, to be cared for. I began experimenting, asking questions quietly, gently, like you will a friend who's hurting. Are you tired? Are you hungry? Do you need rest? Sometimes the answers came as sensations. A loosening of tension when I stretched, a flutter of ease after I drank water, a wave of relief when I took a few deep breaths. Sometimes the answers came in small revelations. I was overworking, I was stressed, I was neglecting myself. Listening became an act of discovery, of uncovering truth I had forgotten existed. There's a story I once read about a woman who suffered from chronic migraines. She tried countless medications, therapies, and diets. Nothing helped. One day, she started keeping a quiet journal, noting every time a migraine struck and what she was feeling, physically and emotionally, before it appeared. Slowly, patterns emerged. Stress, lack of sleep, negative self-talk. By listening, really listening, she was able to make tiny adjustments in her daily life that eventually reduced the migraines to almost nothing. She said, I finally realized my body wasn't against me. It was guiding me. I just had to pay attention. Listening is not about judgment. It's not about fixing immediately. It's about noticing, honoring, and understanding. Your body will speak in whispers first, then in nudges, and if ignored, in shouts. The key is to catch it early, to meet it where it is, to respond with curiosity instead of frustration. It's a dialogue, a conversation you've been avoiding. But once you start, the world changes. You see your aches not as annoyances, but as messages. You notice the fatigue not as weakness, but as a call for rest. You understand tension not as failure, but as a signal to breathe, to move, to release. Every day, your body is speaking. Every day, it's offering clues, insights, guidance. And the moment you start listening, the moment you stop rushing past it, you step into a space of awareness, respect, and healing that you didn't even know was possible. I want you to imagine walking into a workshop where a mechanic is working on a car. Every day, this car gets pushed to its limits, overfilled with fuel, ignored when it makes strange noises. Would you expect it to last forever? Probably not. And yet, how often do we treat our bodies the same way? We expect them to run nonstop, to endure stress, to absorb poor habits, as if they're machines with no feelings, no limits, no voice. I remember a friend of mine who worked at a high-pressure corporate job. He ate at his desk, skipped meals, rarely slept more than 4 hours a night. His body complained with constant headaches, back pain, and sleepless nights. Yet he kept going, as his survival depended on ignoring every warning sign. One day, he collapsed in the middle of a meeting. It was a wake-up call, not just for him, but for everyone around him. That moment made him realize that a body neglected is not a body that will sustain you forever. He later told me, I treated myself like a machine and machines break. I finally understood I have to care for myself if I want to show up in the world. Treating your body with love and respect doesn't mean luxury or indulgence. It means noticing when it needs rest and giving it permission to pause. It means feeding it real, nourishing food instead of just anything that's convenient. It means moving, stretching, walking, dancing, whatever it takes to honor the vessel that carries you every single day. I started this myself in small ways. A glass of water when I felt sluggish, a short walk when I felt tense. I began noticing the softness of my muscles when I stretched slowly, the warmth of the sun on my skin when I stood outside for a minute, the calm that settled over me when I simply breathed deeply and thanked my body for carrying me through the day. There's an incredible quote by Thich Nhat Hanh that always sticks with me. Your body is precious. It is our vehicle for awakening. Treat it with care. And it's true. Every act of kindness toward your body, whether small or large, becomes a ripple. Over time, your body responds, not with instant perfection, but with resilience, energy, and a quiet joy you forgot existed. I recall a woman I met at a retreat who had been living with chronic fatigue for years. She said she used to punish herself for feeling tired, pushing harder, working longer. Then she learned to listen to her body's needs, to respect its limits, and to act with love instead of judgment. She began sleeping earlier, eating mindfully, moving her body gently each day. Within months, she felt energy she hadn't felt in a decade. She looked at me and said, I finally realized my body isn't my enemy. It's my partner. And when I respect it, it shows up for me in ways I never imagined. Our bodies are not just machines to endure life. They are partners, allies, and temples of experience. When we treat them with care, attention, and respect, we don't just survive, we thrive. We awaken to a world where life flows more gently, where energy returns, where pain becomes a messenger instead of punishment, and where we begin to truly feel, the miracle of having a body that holds us every day. I want you to picture a river. At first, it might seem quiet, almost still, but every drop of water contributes to its flow. Every small movement adds up over time, shaping the land, carving paths, and creating life. Our bodies are exactly like that. Healing doesn't always come from dramatic, sudden changes. It comes from small, intentional actions, repeated day after day, each one whispering to your body, I see you. I care for you. I remember a time when I was struggling with constant fatigue and stress. I thought I needed a complete life overhaul to feel better. I imagined long vacations, extreme diets, fancy therapies. But then a mentor said something simple that changed everything. Start small. Ask your body what it needs today and give it that. At first, it felt almost too simple to matter. But I tried. One morning, I decided to drink an extra glass of water before coffee. Later, I went for a 10-minute walk outside, just to stretch my legs and breathe fresh air. That evening, I allowed myself to rest an extra 20 minutes instead of scrolling on my phone. The difference was subtle at first, almost invisible, but by the end of the week, I noticed a warmth in my body, a lightness in my chest, a softness in my muscles. I met a woman at a wellness retreat who had been dealing with chronic anxiety. She told me she felt overwhelmed by the idea of self-care, as if it had to be something big, luxurious, and expensive. I asked her, what if self-care is as small as drinking water when you're thirsty or stretching for 5 minutes when your back hurts? She laughed, but she tried it. She told me a month later that those small actions, just listening to her body's tiny signals and responding, had begun to change her life. Her headaches were less frequent, her sleep deeper, her mood lighter. Even the smallest gestures carry meaning. A deep breath before getting out of bed is a conversation. A few minutes of movement when your shoulders ache is a way of saying, I hear you. Drinking water when your mouth is dry is nourishment, but it's also acknowledgement. These moments are not just acts, they are messages of love and attention. And when repeated consistently, they create momentum, a current of healing that carries you forward in ways that feel almost magical. One of my favorite quotes comes from Rumi. Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Healing is like rain, gentle, persistent, nurturing. It doesn't have to be overwhelming to be powerful. Every small, intentional act we take toward our body is like a drop of rain that nourishes the roots, that strengthens the flow of life within us. When we begin to honor these small actions, the body responds. Fatigue lifts, tension loosens, clarity returns. And over time, these small gestures add up to profound change. The river of our body starts to flow again, steady and strong, carrying us toward a life that feels lighter, brighter, and more alive than we ever imagined. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up in the morning, not rushing, not reaching for your phone immediately, but pausing, feeling your body. You notice the weight in your chest, the tightness in your shoulders, the flutter in your stomach. You ask yourself quietly, how are you today? It seems simple, almost too simple, but this is where transformation begins. This is where the bridge between your mind and body is built. I remember when I first started doing daily check-ins with myself. I had been struggling with stress and anxiety for months. Life was moving fast, deadlines pressing, responsibilities piling up, and my body was constantly screaming for attention. One morning, instead of jumping out of bed and diving into work, I decided to sit quietly, hand on my chest, and just breathe. I asked myself, what is your body trying to tell me right now? At first, it felt awkward. I had spent years ignoring these messages, brushing them off as weakness or inconvenience. But slowly, I started noticing patterns. My shoulders felt tight whenever I was anxious about work. My stomach churned when I hadn't eaten properly. My energy lifted when I moved, even just a little, or when I allowed myself to rest. There's a story I once heard about a man who struggled with chronic back pain. Doctors had given him treatments, medications, and therapies, but nothing seemed to help long-term. One day, he began a practice of journaling his body's sensations and moods every morning. He didn't try to fix anything immediately. He just observed, asked questions, and took notes. Over time, he discovered that his pain spiked after nights of poor sleep or stressful conversations. He realized his body was not just reacting randomly, it was giving him feedback, and by paying attention, he could adjust his life, protect his body, and reduce his pain. He said, "It wasn't the medicine that healed me, it was learning to listen to myself every single day." Daily check-ins are not just about noticing pain or discomfort. They're about building awareness of what your body loves, what it craves, what makes it feel alive. It could be as simple as a few deep breaths in the morning, a stretch while waiting for your coffee to brew, or a moment of gratitude for carrying you through another day. These small acts of attention teach your mind to honor your body, and your body, in turn, learns to trust your mind. The connection becomes stronger, more intuitive, more powerful. I also learned that self-awareness is about being honest with yourself, not judging yourself. One evening, I realized I had ignored hunger cues all day, skipping meals in the rush of work. I sat down, placed my hand on my stomach, and said, "I see you. You're hungry. Thank you for letting me know." I ate slowly, savoring every bite, and felt a wave of warmth and calm spread through me. That simple act of acknowledgement, of listening without criticism, was like sending a message to my body. You matter. I am here. Rumi once said, "The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear." And that is exactly what daily check-ins teach us. When we quiet our minds, slow down our thoughts, and simply notice our bodies, we begin to hear messages that have been there all along. We become partners with our bodies rather than adversaries. We start to see the subtle cues that guide us, the signs that help us adjust, heal, and grow. Over time, this practice transforms the way we move through life. We become more patient, more present, more attuned to what our body truly needs. The mind and body no longer exist in conflict. They dance together, responsive and harmonious, creating a foundation for healing that is as natural as breathing, as reliable as the rising sun. I want you to picture planting a tiny seed in the soil. You water it gently, day after day, yet nothing seems to happen. You wait, sometimes impatiently, expecting instant growth, but the seed remains hidden beneath the earth. And then, one morning, you notice a small green sprout breaking through the soil. You realize that all the time, care, and consistency you invested were never wasted. Healing is exactly like that. I remember when I first began listening to my body and responding with care. I had a persistent tension in my shoulders, headaches that refused to leave, and a general sense of fatigue that no quick fix could resolve. I wanted it gone immediately. I tried stretching once or twice, drank water, rested a little, and hoped for instant relief. But my body didn't respond that way. It wasn't magic. It was a process, and it required patience. Each day, I took small steps, a mindful stretch, a glass of water, a deep breath, a few moments of stillness. I didn't see huge changes immediately, but slowly, subtly, I began to feel lighter, calmer, more alive. I met a woman at a yoga retreat who had suffered from chronic pain for years. She had spent thousands on therapies, pills, and quick fixes, all promising immediate relief. When none worked, she became frustrated, almost defeated. But over time, she learned to shift her focus from instant results to gentle attention. She started moving her body slowly, listening to its needs, resting when necessary, and practicing deep, intentional breathing. She told me, "At first, I felt like I was doing nothing, but slowly, the tension loosened, the pain softened, and I began to trust my body again." Healing doesn't rush. It whispers, and you must listen patiently. There's a subtle beauty in consistency. Drinking water every morning, stretching for 5 minutes each day, taking a brief pause to breathe deeply. These small, repeated acts create a foundation for transformation. like drops of rain wearing down a rock. Persistent care shapes the body and mind in ways that no instant solution ever could. It requires faith in the process, trust that your attention, even when invisible or unremarkable, matters deeply. I remember one evening, after months of patient effort, I felt something shift. The headaches that had plagued me were gone. My shoulders, once heavy and tense, felt soft and relaxed. I realized then that healing is rarely dramatic or sudden. It is quiet, subtle, and cumulative. Each day of gentle care, each act of listening and responding, had added up to a profound change I almost didn't notice until I stopped and looked back. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Meditation is not evading the world. It is being present with the world, moment by moment, with patience and attention." Healing is the same. It asks us to be present, to respond consistently, to honor the body's rhythm without rushing, without forcing, without judgment. It asks us to show up every day, even when it feels small, invisible, or insignificant. And over time, this patience, this steady consistency, becomes a powerful force. It teaches the body to trust, the mind to relax, and the spirit to feel capable of true transformation. It reminds us that real healing is not instant. It is cultivated, nurtured, and blossomed through gentle, unwavering attention. I want you to imagine sitting quietly in a room, light soft, breath slow, and place your hands gently on your chest. You whisper to yourself, "I see you. I hear you. I am here for you." It may feel strange at first, almost like talking to someone who cannot answer, but in truth, your body is listening. Every heartbeat, every muscle, every nerve is attuned to your attention. And when you speak with love instead of judgment, something remarkable begins to happen. I remember the first time I really tried this. I had spent years pushing my body to its limits, ignoring pain, neglecting rest, thinking that strength meant endurance without pause. One evening, after a particularly long day, I felt my shoulders tighten so sharply I could barely move. I sat down, placed my hands over the tension, and simply said, "I'm sorry for ignoring you. I want to understand you now." I closed my eyes and waited. At first, there was silence, but then a subtle warmth spread through my shoulders, a soft loosening. It was almost imperceptible, yet it felt like my body was answering, saying, "Finally, you are listening. Finally, you care." There's a story I once heard about a man recovering from a serious illness. Doctors had given him timelines, treatments, and instructions, but he felt disconnected from his own body. One day, a therapist suggested he start dialogue with it. He began asking simple questions. "What hurts today? What do you need? Can I help you rest?" He recorded his answers in a journal, noting sensations, emotions, and reactions. Slowly, his recovery accelerated, not because of medicine alone, but because he was nurturing a relationship with himself. He said, "I realize I have been neglecting the person who works hardest for me every moment of my life, my body." Once I started talking to it, I felt alive in ways I hadn't before. Conversation with your body is not just about noticing pain or discomfort. It's about recognizing the countless ways it supports you. Your lungs expanding with every breath, your heart carrying life silently through every beat, your legs walking you through experiences, your skin protecting you from the elements. When we acknowledge these things, we cultivate gratitude and care. Every gentle touch, every whispered word of encouragement becomes an act of love that tells your body you are seen, you are valued, you are worthy. I remember a friend who had lived with chronic fatigue for years. She often felt frustrated and angry at her own body, blaming it for limitations she didn't understand. One day, she started a practice of speaking to it like a trusted companion. "Thank you for carrying me today. I promise to listen. I promise to care." She told me that this simple habit transformed her life. The fatigue didn't vanish overnight, but her perception shifted. Her body no longer felt like an adversary, but a partner. She began making choices that honored it. And over time, her health and energy improved in ways she had never imagined. Even the smallest gestures matter. A hand on the chest, a whispered, "I love you," a pause to breathe and feel. These moments of connection create a ripple that reaches every cell, every system, every thought. They teach the body to trust the mind and the mind to honor the body. They remind us that self-love is not abstract. It is physical, tangible, and transformative. Rumi said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." Talking to your body removes those barriers. It opens the door to healing, to vitality, to joy. It turns awareness into action, attention into care, and care into lasting transformation. When you converse with your body, you are not just tending to flesh and bone. You are nurturing the soul that lives within, creating a life where mind, body, and spirit move together in harmony, resilience, and profound love that I ask you today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Will you start talking to your body? Will you listen when it whispers, when it aches, when it longs for care? Will you honor it, nurture it, and give it the love it has always given you? Because healing does not wait. Your body does not wait. Every moment you ignore its signals is a moment lost, a moment you could have spent reconnecting, restoring, and thriving. Listen, care, respond. Listen, care, respond. Let these words echo in your mind and move your hands, your heart, your actions. Start small. Start gentle. Start now. Take a breath. Feel your heartbeat. Place your hand on your chest and whisper, "I see you. I hear you. I will care for you." And do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Because transformation is not instant. It is consistent. Transformation is not rushed. It is nurtured. Transformation is your choice, right here, right now. Your body is not just a vessel. Your body is your home. Your body is your partner. Your body is your most loyal friend, and it is waiting for you to finally meet it with love, patience, and attention. Do not wait another second to start that conversation. Do not wait another day to honor the miracle that carries you through life. Talk to your body. Listen to your body. Love your body. Talk, listen, love, and watch as it responds, as it heals, as it transforms not just your health, but your life, your energy, your joy, your very way of being in the world. Because when you start this conversation, something extraordinary happens. Your body listens, your mind opens, your spirit awakens, and you realize the truth that has been waiting all along. Your support means everything. If this resonated with you, please share, and subscribe. And remember this, healing is not something you find. It is something you create. And it begins the moment you choose to speak, the moment you choose to listen, the moment you choose to love. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.